All right. One other type of electrode that we can have for our ion selective electrodes is a solid state electrode. This is one where our membrane is now, instead of being made of glass like a pH electrode, is now a crystal of some sort, a solid. This is a commonly used electrode for measuring anions. In fact, this is the kind of electrode that we use to measure chloride in our class. The chloride electrode we used is based on a silver chloride membrane. The figure here from your textbook is looking at how a fluoride ion selective electrode works. So this is a crystal made out of primarily lanthanum fluoride, but it's then doped with europium fluoride, so EuF2 versus LaF3. Because the different numbers of fluorides between those two types of crystals, you actually end up with vacancies in your crystal, and that's what allows fluoride to move through the electrode, through the membrane, and create a electrical connection so we can actually measure potential. So we have fluoride ions. So we can see that this is going to, fluoride ions are going to want to diffuse into and out of this membrane, and that's what creates the potential that we can measure across this membrane. And so this is based on a solid crystal, so we call this a solid state electrode. But the same principles work here as for all the other electrodes that we've been talking about. For ion selective electrodes in general, we have our membrane. In this case, our crystal is generally at the bottom of our electrode here. We have a filling solution that is composed of a solution of fluoride at a fixed concentration that we know. So often this will be for our chloride ion selective electrode, which is a mouthful. For example, the company makes a specific solution that you just pour into the middle of this. And then, of course, there's a reference electrode, silver chloride electrode on the inside here that gives us a reference potential, and then we need a reference electrode on the outside as well. And so this is an example where you'd have to have a separate reference electrode. You can also purchase these similar to the pH electrode we showed in the last video, where the two reference electrodes are built into the same sort of casing, and you only need one electrode. That's the example of the type that we used in lab. But otherwise, the principles are the same, right? This is going to have a response that depends on the concentration on the exterior, and it's going to look a lot like the Nernst equation. And so this is an example of solid state electrodes. Last type we'll look at is the liquid-based electrodes, which are pretty interesting in how they work in terms of the chemistry involved. Then we'll finish off with talking about sort of general ideas about ion selective electrodes, what they're good for, what they're what's good about them, what are some of the downsides related to them.